Hi everyone, I am Zeiss, and on this channel I turn you into an RPG master. So, if that's something you're interested in, and if you haven't done so already, smash the subscribe button and keep in touch. Now, people have been asking me what I think about the PTR. Well, I already mentioned a couple of times on posts on my socials and also on YouTube, stupid small short. PTR is this one in particular. I believe is not so good. I believe they repeat the same mistakes. And let's talk about some things here. I already released a video about the patch 1.5.0. It's a pretty long one, like 40 something minutes, and I'm just gonna note some things here after playing them and what I think about them. Right, so first things first, the quest line that was pretty short, so probably they will also include more of it during the actual season. We don't get to experience any seasonal powers, which is quite understandable. They might be a surprise, but what we had on the PTR kinda hints we might not get some again, which is not so good, right? Also, the Infernal Hordes. Well, while the content idea is really good, I believe it to be excessively long and quite unrewarding. So it could be tuned in those two areas and it can actually be a really good one. What I expect to see is that this content is actually, I don't know, maybe not longer than 5 minutes or something per run, and the rewards to be at least quadrupled. Otherwise, just nobody will bother doing it except for the bragging rights. That's what I think. What's next? Well, Helltides felt kind of better now that the whispers are stuck in one area, though it might not be the area that you usually would like to go to. And that's good because you can actually diversify, not just go to the same area over and over again when the Helltide starts, right? Let's say in Kyrgyzstan, the Helltide is in 3 areas, but people usually use mostly one because it's close to the waypoint. The maiden is close to the waypoint, so on and so forth. Something else, the mind cages, their luck, actually. I don't think that's a good idea. It was really good, something that should make its way to the core game, especially if they stack it. I've mentioned this multiple times. The problem that this might generate is that some players might have cages stacked while others not, which brings us to the other core issue: we don't have solo mode, and usually this content is full of leechers not many like, even on hardcore, believe it or not. Okay, something else. Let's see, the new weapons and uniques. Actually, the new uniques. Now, for this to properly work, I think I'll have to include my browser here with those items, right? So let's do that real quick. Okay, here it goes. Let me hide this thing here. Now, what I think about each, I'll let you know real quick. This thing, pretty useless in my case. Maybe on softcore it might be good for some people who want to scale their damage, especially if they play a crappy build, although it produces very heavy resource problems and doesn't really make up for it, because if you have resource you can keep attacking more and basically achieve better results. I don't necessarily like this helmet, and in the Necromancer case, maybe it's the only build it would not work well with, I believe, is Bone Spear, because in this case Bone Spear has the Deathless Visage, which is a build enabling unique, which enables us to hit up to 8 times per cast, and that drastically changes things. Okay, not to mention it provides DR and so on and so forth, and more resource, which in that case means more damage. In the other builds, it might work, not really much for maybe Sever, but for the others, it might work. The only other problem it produces is we're losing defensive or utility aspect here. I would usually put, for example, um, protecting aspect or prudent heart in this case, because it's better now that we have it back in the game. Let's move on to this glove. I believe this glove is only good for blood lance, and especially without this here, all stats, that's junk stat for me, junk graphics. Blood lance needs a lot of lucky hit, core skills, that's good. Healing received, especially because of that, that's really important for blood lance. But the problem this generates is that now we have to use Ratma's Vigor, right? Ratma's Chosen on our focus when playing blood lance. For the other builds, it's out of the question because it leaves no room for important aspects. So there are some ideas here, but we'll get to that later on. Now, this talisman, this amulet, I didn't like it at all, though again it increases damage, it deprives you of really good resource generation, and what I believe is that a really good amulet tampered with resource generation or cost reduction will be much better than this, because you can still get damage on it, and actually quite a lot of it, and you actually have resource to use your skills you should be dealing damage with. But we'll see how this goes later on. These boots, I don't see them playing well outside of maybe two shadow builds, three. Shadow Blight, Sever, Blighted Corpse Explosion, and their variants, like of Blight as well. So that's 4 with their variations. Builds which are focused around those 4 things. But we lose very important thing here, the aspect of metamorphosis. So those might be good for the players who actually play with Blood Mist, which here is not the case. Now, I didn't find this one, and I hope I find it during season 5 so I can actually test it, because I believe Hemorrhage or Decompose could be really good builds, building around those 2 basic skills, but we'll see about that. We're gonna skip Barbablo's favorite class, Barbarian, Druid as well. Let's get to the Necromancer here. Those boots, I don't necessarily like them. They produce many problems, like the armor actually fits, but we can also get it elsewhere. Plus to bone skills, that's not bad. Movement speed, that's not bad. Bone prison cooldown, that's really cool. And also the unique power is really cool, though it deprives us of mobility aspect, which is kinda sad, especially because we can't really get it on the amulet, especially having in mind that this is plus to bone skills and doesn't work for bone spear, because we need mobility on the boots to actually position ourselves better. And if we are to use Blood Mist for this, it will have high cooldown requirements, which we can't get alongside good damage rolls and stuff like that. So I don't necessarily approve of this boot. It might work better for Bone Spirit, although this glass cannon build is only good for, according to me, you don't necessarily have to agree, but I believe Bone Spirit is a build to just go play in a party, or just go one shot the bosses and be done with it for the season. I don't necessarily see other applications of the Bone Spirit build. It might be strong, but it's weak, it's slow, it's fragile, and it's completely glass cannon, and yeah, don't necessarily agree with this boot here. I didn't manage to find this Mortacrux weapon, but I hope I find it during the season so I can actually play with it a little bit to see the effect is treated as a backup skill. That's a really interesting part here, especially having in mind it's around shadow damage, which is counterintuitive, but that's the best part. We'll see what will come up with it. And generally skipping those and those things here, so I guess that covers the new items. I want to talk a bit maybe about the new aspects. The major change that I will be doing across builds on hardcore, that would be replacing the protecting aspect with prudent heart, but I guess that's quite logical because the cooldown is better, right? Let's see. I think the other changes that they already introduced for testing, I already commented on them previously. But let's see, I definitely like the compass feature and the auto pin feature. I like that we can also remove the damage, that's really good. And we can only turn it on for testing, and after getting to know our build we don't necessarily need all this text flooding our screen, and that's I think something really good, especially for the hardest content where you actually need to see what's going on and able to respond to it better. That's maybe not good way of putting it, because if you are a good player the game should be responding to what you're doing anyway. Well, I don't think there is much more to add here, because the other changes I like I said, I mostly commented on them before, so what I'll be looking forward. Now, many people might not be happy with this change about the pit bosses having tormented stacks. I don't necessarily disagree, but now that we have Prudent Heart, that should not be such a big deal, especially if you can actually play the game. What else? I'm not really sure what else to add actually here, because I touched base on many of the important topics beforehand, and my opinion after playing and testing here and there didn't change much. So what I would probably do in next videos before the PTR ends is showcase some changes based on the new tech that I did, changes to the builds I've been playing. This will mostly include builds around Blood Surge, Blood Lance, basically the core skills, right? And maybe also Sever and Blight, also Bone Spear, Bone Spirit, also maybe the Blood Wave builds and things like that. But I will probably mostly focus on the next video for my season starter build and also my strategy overall for the next season. I guess there's not much to add here, it's just some follow-up on the things that I've been talking about before the PTR. What I want to see on the PTR although is that they kinda include more things for testing, so we don't have to waste time, so they can actually test how we accumulate those things. It's obvious it was not easy. Some of them were not even in the game, as far as I remember they said that. So I guess most of the testing will be done during season 5. Totally looking forward, especially the expansion in season 6. So yeah, there's, like I said, not much more to add here. Thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed this one. If you have anything to say, make sure to hit the comment section below the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.